Guys, welcome to the Merry Boozers RC channel. Today we have the brand new release from our buddies over at Buddy RC. We are affiliates, so check that link below if you decide to get this airplane. But this is the brand new Super Decathlon from OMP Hobbies. It is a 4S powered little bird, and it's all balsa plug and play, guys. So we're gonna get this out of the box. As you've seen before, we did the Bighorn and the Challenger from them, and they were both fantastic. So super excited to see a scale bird. Let's get it out. Let's see what it looks like on the table. All right, guys, so we got it all out of the box and have looked over the airplane. Absolutely beautiful model. We now know that you're gonna need some thin CA, maybe a little bit of thick CA, in order to get your airplane together, and a couple screwdrivers. So go on and get your screwdriver set out. Now, I wanted to just go over a couple things. The instructions are beautiful for this model. They're all in color. As you can see, they've actually taken their time on this, and we really did like the way they came out. But one thing we need to talk about over here is, as we've been taking the airplane out of the box, if you're not careful, this tape will pull up the graphics from the bottom of the wing. Now, if you're just real careful, you won't have this issue, but if you do for some reason, it's not a big deal. This is monocoat. If you got a hot iron, you just take and re-stick it. Just like that. We got that one all restuck. Now, I might hit it with a heat gun later to try and get a few bubbles out. But you can see I had one that lifted right here, and we'll go on and fix this one real quick, just to show you if you've never had an issue like this before. I'm gonna peel this off, and you can see that lifted right up, see it? And it just needs a little more heat where that graphic was. And guys, I know some of you are gonna be balsa builder guys and go, well, this is easy. Well, so this airplane is really made to be your first balsa airplane. So guys are gonna wanna know this that are new. Just like that, nice and stuck down again. We can run it over all the other ends of them real quick. I got the heat gun here. Make sure they're good and stuck. All right, so a couple other things we want to talk about as I've started to look at the instructions. The airplane comes with a 12.6 propeller. This is gonna be for the customers that are gonna be flying this airplane on 4S. But if you want to fly on 3S, you can go to a 13.6.5. To fly this airplane on 3S. Now, me personally, we're gonna be probably flying this on 4S as it's an acrobatic airplane, but we've gone on ahead and test fit our control surfaces, slid them all in here. This is all good stuff to do before we actually start our assembly, is what I'm trying to get at here. So we slid the elevator on, made sure it fit. If you need any kind of trimming, it's a lot easier to do it now than whenever you've got your epoxy out or anything else. I slid my rudder on, we made sure that fit. We just kind of test fitted some of the stuff we're gonna have to glue. All right, guys, we're gonna get started on the assembly now. Give us just a second to get set up and we will be back momentarily. All right, guys, first step on our assembly process is to get the main landing gear on. If you've followed us before and you've picked up your E-flite screwdriver set, this is gonna be the 2.5mm screwdriver set. We are also building on our Ultra stand. We always recommend, if you have one of these, they make your life easy. If you don't have one, they're available in the bottom of the description below the video. All right, as we put these on, guys, we're going to just get them in there loosely and not tighten all of them up right off the bat. So get it started and then move on to the next one. That's what I'm saying. So get that one started. Don't tighten it all the way up. If you wanted to, these are going into metal receiving points. You could Loctite these. I'm not going to, but you could if you choose to. Now I'm going to tighten them all up. Like that. Now, we have this little cover that's going to go over top of them. What I'm going to do, instead of gluing this with any kind of aggressive stuff, I'm going to use my Beaconite foam tack, or if you've got the white tube glue that comes with airplanes, something that's going to glue it good, but that you can get off again later is what I'm trying to get at with this. You don't want to use a very aggressive glue, like CA or something that you'll never get off. So I'm going to put a couple drops of this out here. Nothing too crazy. Drop and a drop. Something I can rip back off later if needed. And we'll set that in there. Squish it down good. Now with your foam tack, you always take it back off and make sure it's sticking.
And make sure you get the holes aligned with the...
Right.
Because you're going to have to cut those out eventually.
And it's sticking because it's a booger to get it back out of there. Yep. So we're going to let it set for a second. Hopefully y'all can see this.
Cut the monocoat out to expose the bolts.
Yeah, so there's actually a hole here, 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 and here. If you needed to ever take this off in the future, you could cut these holes out and unscrew them still. But, like I said, I glued that on with a not as aggressive glue to also be able to pull that off if I had to. Hopefully we don't have any bad landings and have to do that though. So we're gonna let this set up for just a minute, guys, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. All right, guys, our landing gear is all set up, and now we're gonna move on to putting on our horizontal stabilizer. Now, I have already gone on ahead and test fit this once. It was pretty tight, so just letting you know, tight's okay, but take your time fitting this in here. Don't fit it. Don't push it too hard. You can make sure your hinges are good, yep. But right now what I'm trying to focus on is right in here. So if it's real tight the first time, just take your time, slide it in and out a few times, you'll get it just where you want it. Now, I'm gonna go on and look at it before we glue this and make sure everything's straight. You could even put the wing on and put a measuring strip from one to the other and a measuring strip from the end to the other if you wanted to make sure they were perfectly straight. But guys, you can look at it, eyeball it, make sure that's pretty straight, and it's gonna be close enough. So, the way we're gonna glue this, you can either do epoxy, or you can do what the instructions say. It's such a tight fit in here, I'm gonna take thin CA with one of these little schnooters here, and I'm gonna put that down in there, and I'm gonna give it a little shot of that. And we're gonna let that set now for a few minutes. Now the reason that we've got it running in there like this is hopefully it stays right in there and it doesn't run everywhere. You don't want to put a ton in here or it's gonna run out all over the place. We're gonna let that set for just a minute though. Once it sets up, we'll turn it over and we'll glue the other side. All right, we've let the other side dry, guys. Now we're gonna do this side. Now, if you have some kicker, you can use it, but you don't have to have this. And then same thing, I'm gonna do the bottom sides of the elevator now. Now, we're gonna let this dry for just a few minutes. Leave the airplane alone, don't tug on it or pull on it, and we'll meet back with you. All right, guys, so we've let that set up, and you can give a good pull on this now. You're not gonna hurt nothing. Go on and check your elevator is glued all the hinges really well. This is right out of the box. You don't have to glue these, but if you were to have one fail, we wanna do it now, not in the air. So, elevator's good. What we're gonna do now is take our rudder, and we're gonna slide that in. There is pre-cut hinge spots on here. I'm gonna turn the airplane on its side. Actually gonna do the other side, it'll be a little easier to see and do this on camera. But what we wanna do is make sure that our hinge lines all line up with our stickers. You don't want one to be off one way or the other. You wanna make sure you line those up and they're all good. Then we're gonna take some thin CA. I like my Zap Thin CA. You're gonna open it up to where you can see the hinges. And we're gonna drip it in there, and it should soak it up down in there. Now there should be one more down here at the bottom that I can't see right now. Step around to this side. Just like that. Now, we're gonna let this set up for a second, then we're gonna flip the airplane over and do the same thing on the other side. All right, it's set up. We just flipped the model over, and now we're gonna drip some CA on this side. A little drip, and a little drip. Little goes a long way on that stuff, guys. All right, so we're gonna let that all set up, and then we're on to the next step. All right, so we've already let all this set up. I've pulled on all of my rudder control surfaces to make sure that that CA has really wicked in there good. Now we're gonna take this longer screw that's in the kit. There's already a center punch right here for where this screw goes. So we're gonna hit that little hole. We're gonna start screwing it in. Now, I'm gonna screw it in and get my hole started. Now, you do not screw this all the way tight. I'm gonna take it back out now that I've done that. And this is a form of Loctite you can do on wood. But I'm gonna take some thick CA. This is my Zap Thick. And I'm gonna take and just put a drop of it on the end. Like so. Now, when I put this in here this time, it's gonna harden up my hole. And you'll never get it out, and that's okay, because this is my tail where I don't want to take it apart. And you leave it loose, because that is going to ride inside. I don't know if you can see this, but that actually rides on this rail, and just make sure that your tail is straight. That's all this does. So you don't have to tighten that all the way up. It's just making it where your tail wheel moves. And by CA-ing that in there, it's never gonna move and fall out of there. So that gets that done. We are not gonna put our control horns on yet, even though it says to right now, because I'm gonna wait until we've powered up the model to put all the horns on. On to the next step, guys. All right, guys, so the next step in the instruction manual is to put the main wing on. We're not gonna do that yet. Instead, we're gonna put our flying wires on while the wings are off, because it's gonna be a lot easier to move the airplane around. So what I've done is gone on ahead and slid one of my little crimps up onto the wire. We're gonna go on and slide the wire in now to these little receiving points. And I'm gonna show you this on these two, and that's gonna be all we're gonna do for now. But it's just kind of a fiddly thing to do here. But hopefully you can see that. So you can see that I just slid that in there like that. Now, we can go on and crimp this on. Make sure you check that you're gonna have enough to do down here before you crimp though. So I'm gonna take that and slide her on up, tight as I can. No special crimps here, just get you a set of squeezers and squeeze on them. I just used these little guys right here. Needle nose, they work great. They squeezed it really good. Now we're gonna take, and before we put this side in, we're gonna put our collet on, or not collet, but the crimp. Sleeve, call it whatever you want. It's a crimp. We're gonna loop it back around. And now I'm gonna pull tight and slide that down. As you can see, now my flying wire is nice and tight. I'm gonna reach up with my little crimper. Oop. And give it a squeeze. And give it a squeeze. There we go. And now you can see it's nice and tight. And we're gonna take our cutters now and just cut off the excess. Now, we're gonna go on ahead and do the rest of them around the airplane, and then we'll get back to you momentarily. All right, I know we said we were gonna do all 4 of these and then get back to you, but I figured y'all might wanna know this. So I've gone on ahead and crimped this part just like normal. The next crimp goes around this screw right here. I had to back it out just a little bit, and I figured we'd do it for you real quick. Now I can wrap my screw around and back in here, just to show you how I'm doing this. So, if you can see it now, I've wrapped it around there, and I'm gonna pull tight as I make my crimp now. Crimp and crimp. I cut this little end off. Same thing with this little end. And you don't have to cut these off, but it sure does look better if you do. But now, if you can see, I've got that wrapped around that screw. When we're all done and I have the other side on, I can just tighten my screw back up now. So the next step, guys, is to assemble our wings. I've already gone on ahead and put one together. We're gonna put this one together. So there's a fatter one of these and a skinnier one. The skinnier one is gonna go to the back of the fuselage. You're also gonna notice that they're perfectly straight coming out of the box. They're gonna bend really easy for you to make these fit just right. So you're gonna clip them in, get it in the right spot. You'll see as you clip these in, and let's see what I did on the other one. I wanna do it the same way on this one. So I put the fatter one on the bottom. I don't know that it matters per se, but I wanna make them the same per side if I can. 2mm Allen key screwdriver. These are machine threaded in here. I tell you what, guys, I have been blown away how well this kit is built as we've been going. I know this is a little off topic as I'm going, but the quality of these Buddy RC OMP airplanes has been top notch. No joke. The fact that they've got, I mean, this here got the little inserts in the wings to make them a receiving point. Just overall, it's just been a very good quality airplane. Now, I'm not going to get everything super tight until we get it all on the fuselage and can make sure everything's kind of lined up and bent to where it needs to go. This is a good time while we have the wings here on the table to take and pull on them. Make sure that we don't have any loose hinges here either. Loose hinges anywhere on the airplane are a bad thing. All right, so we know that's good. So what we're gonna do now is mount these onto the airplane and continue on. All right, guys, now we're at the point where we can put the wings on the airplane. The top hatch is magnetic. You're gonna pop this little hatch off. This way you can see down inside the wing area. We're gonna now take the wing tube, it's a carbon spar, slide that on. And now we're gonna take our wings and slide them onto the airplane. We're gonna leave these loose for now. Just make sure you don't poke the side of your airplane as you put them on. Take our 2 wires, put them into the fuselage. One is for the aileron, the other is for the lights. That's right, you heard me. This is a plug-and-play balsa airplane with lights on top of everything else. Really a well-built airplane. We're gonna shove all that down. Now, as we bring the wing half in, we wanna make sure that this isn't gonna poke the side of the fuselage.
I don't think they can see that.
Okay, let me turn it up real quick. This right here, guys, I'm just trying to make sure this does not poke the fuselage as we put it in. From the top, we're gonna take one of our wing screws, and it goes on the inside and just threads in. I'm gonna get it just started, and I'm gonna get this other wing in now, just to keep it balanced. So, same thing. Always easier with a friend, but for now, to show you guys, it is possible to do it. I'm gonna do it by myself. Here we go, so I got the wing started. I'm gonna take those 2 wires again. One goes in here, and the other one goes in here. You don't have to have a Y harness to complete this airplane, but it will be easier. Now, we're gonna look down, and I almost poked a hole in the side of the fuselage. That would have been bad. We're gonna take and make sure we kind of stretch these out a little bit, and we don't poke a hole in the side of the fuselage as we push the wing in. That would make a bad day of flying if you pushed that through the side of your fuselage. All right, so now we can take and turn the airplane where you guys can see what I'm actually doing. And I'm gonna reach in and screw the wing bolts in. Let me pick this up, Papa, and so they can maybe see where the wing bolts go here. Can y'all see that? Wing bolts are right here. Perfect. So we're going to tighten those up, guys, and then we'll get back to you momentarily. All right, guys, I've got the wings all tightened up. I went on ahead and plugged in my 2 LED cables that are right there also. We're going to flip the airplane over now, carefully. And you can see that all your mounts come up to here. Now, you're probably going to have to bend and finagle just a little bit your first time to get these in, because they're off just a little bit. And like I said, you're just going to kind of have to work these to get them all lined up just right. It's a 2mm Allen key. I grabbed the wrong one. 2mm right there. And like I said, you're gonna have to just kind of fiddle with it just enough to get them started. And once you do, it will actually bend them and suck them down correctly once you get them going. It kind of bent all my wires up there. We can go in and check out here. I didn't tighten these all the way until I got this all in here, because I wanted it to kind of suck it all down together. So you can see it got all that. Now I'm going to put this other side on and then we'll be right back with you. All right, guys, so our next step in the process is we're going to put our receiver of choice in. This is a plug and play, so use whatever you want, but I have mounted a Spectrum receiver inside of mine. This is a 6-channel receiver that I'm using. I put my lights in the gear channel, and then I ran one aileron into aux 1, which is normally a flap channel, and I ran the other one into my standard aileron channel. This way I didn't have to use a Y harness. You can always use a Y harness on your ailerons if you need less channels. You could get away with a 4-channel receiver on this airplane, but like I said, I used 6. Lights are into the gear. The lights do change when you flip the gear channel. So I'll show you all that here in a second, but what we needed to do is power everything up so all of our servos can center now. So I'm gonna turn my transmitter on. Maybe. There it goes. I'm going to plug the model in. I've already bound it, but what we're going to also do right now is go on ahead and do a throttle calibration. In order to do that, propeller off, power at full throttle, plug in, power down. There we go. Our throttle is calibrated. We can do a quick check, make sure everything's moving. I'll hold this up so you guys can see it with me. But what we're doing is we're trying to make sure all of our control horns have centered. So ailerons, I can see them moving. Elevator, I can see it moving. And rudder, I can see it moving. So all we did there was center everything. I'm going to leave the airplane on, and I'm going to put it in the stand now. And we're going to set this up to show you how to put your control horns on. All right, guys, so our next step is going to be to put our ball links onto our servos. I have already gone ahead and unscrewed the screw from the top of this. As you can see, the balls are on the bottom. It's going to be impossible to put this on. So what I'm going to do is pop this off now that I've taken that loose, like this. Now I can take one of my ball links. There's 2 that are the same length. Those are going to be your ones for the wings. They only go one direction also. You'll be able to see it when you look at it. I'm going to snap this one on. We're going to hold this. Put that on straight. We're going to see how this looks. It needs to come in a little bit. So the reason I'm leaving it all loose, makes this a lot easier to work. I'm going to go 1, 2. And I'm going to make sure I put my ball link the correct way. Once again, now we're going to take and put that on. Hold that ball link up. And there it is. Now I'm going to snap it on. And it might even be easier to take this up here where I can get a hold of it better. And snap it on like that. Now you can see it's on there. Bring it around. We're going to line everything up. hold it straight, push it on. Do a quick test. Everything's free and clear. Now we can put our screw back in. And that gets our aileron on. Quick test. Lots and lots of throw, lots of speed. While we're here too, I'll show you this. The lights are flashing. Like I said, if you put them in an open channel, right now I have them on the gear, you can switch them to a different flash. Off. Solid. So you can actually switch through all the different light modes also if you put them on an open channel. Anyway, guys, we're going to go around and we're going to put the rest of the control horns on. They're all exactly the same. You're going to adjust them out till you get it neutral, pop them on, and then we'll meet back with you momentarily. All right, guys, we have everything hooked up now. What we're going to go over is our rates and expo now. Now, I will tell you, do not leave this at 100% throw for your first flight, unless you're a very experienced 3D pilot, because this airplane comes set up with some throws. I mean, crazy throws. This is 100%. I do have it in my radio, but I have my 100% at 30% expo to help soften that stick if we want to play in 3D mode. Now, I'm not going to take off in that mode. What I'm going to show you, measuring from the trailing edge of this, so right now I have, I'll do millimeters here. Everybody likes millimeters. I have math. That's 55 millimeters in full travel. Half, I have 35 millimeters. And low, I have 25 millimeters. Now guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I've got 100, I've got 65, and I have 40 for my radio settings. But if you're flying something other than Spectrum, you're probably going to want to do that differently. I would take off in mid. If it's a handful, move it down. But have those settings so you can try this in different ways. I'm going to do the elevator the same way. This time I'm going to measure, if you're looking at the elevator, the tip right here is what we're going to measure. Same thing, millimeters. I'm going to go full down travel. And I have 35 to the tip right now. 35 millimeters. Half rate. 25. And all the way in low rate, 15. Now, once again, I'm going to leave both of my rates in half right here for the takeoff. If it's too sensitive, I can cut them down again. As you can see, guys, you can see that full rate is a lot. I have my rudder just at 30%. I'm going to leave my rudder full. I don't ever need a rate on that one for me, personally. But, like I said, my ailerons sticks in the same spot. As you can see, I cut it down, and I cut it down again. All right, at this point, we've tested everything. All the functions of the airplane are working correctly. We can now put our propeller on that we are satisfied that the airplane is set up correctly. We're going to unplug first, and it's tight. Woo! XT60 connector for you guys that want to know. It's the yellow one. And now we can put our propeller on. All right, guys, so we've got the airplane all set up now. What we got to do next is assemble our propeller. So you're going to take the aluminum metal back plate first and put that on. Then your propeller. Then the little black washer. Then this little cone nut. Grab your wrench, tighten that up. Then you're going to take your aluminum spinner. And your 2mm Allen key. Hey, stay there. Very, very premium quality spinner on this, guys. Everything looks really nice on it. Beautiful. And that gets our spinner assembly done. Last thing that I need to do is go into my radio and put a throttle cut on before we power it up again. Should have done that earlier when we were setting it up, but I forgot about it. We're going to do it now. The airplane went together fantastic. I mean, that's it, guys. We need to just do a quick CG test, and we are ready to go fly this airplane. For customers that already have a OMP Bighorn, the airplane is extremely similar in size to that airplane. But this one does come with the 4S capable ESC right out of the box. Beautiful paint job on it. OMP has really been knocking it out of the park lately with these airplanes. We are Buddy RC affiliates, so if you decide you want one of these airplanes from watching this video, make sure you click that link down in our description. We make a little cut of the commissions of you buying their airplane. And I hope you guys have really enjoyed today's video. Good luck on your maiden, guys, and I hope to see more of you on the Merry Boozers channel. Bye. I just want y'all to get an idea of how this works. They're gonna hear that.
They're not gonna hear me fart.
I guarantee you they would.